Okay. Are we live? I
We're
think we're live.
live. We are
Okay.
live.
All right.
What's up,
Welcome.
Gino?
I'm good. How you doing, Marcia? I miss you.
I know I'm good. I'm good. I had to, take a couple of days to handle some family stuff, but all is well. We're back and we're ready to roll.
Yeah, yeah. I've been praying for you and your family. I know what you've been going through, what your family's been going through over the last year, and so naturally, prayers up.
You can't make it up. You can't make it up. I know God has our backs. I know that with all my heart.
In
But
the name of
I'm telling you, we got to get the lesson in these things that are happening in this world right now. We
yeah,
got to be really paying attention to what's going on around us, and just love on each other harder. That's it.
yep, yep. That's it. So let's be consistent. Oftentimes, the weight on our shoulders makes it difficult for us to recognize that through it all, we are still supposed to give love. So I try and remind myself constantly, man, you're going through a lot, but your goal is to still be able to give love.
Yeah, yeah. And to that point, you guys reaching out to me, I know you just friends and you feel like you family, and I feel the same way. But know that it meant the world to me just to get the text messages, the calls that let me know that you were supporting me and thinking about me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and this you do the same for us. You've done the same for
Hey,
us. So thank
family, that's family.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into it.
Yay!
Hey, audience. For those of you who will be watching this later or watching it live, thank you for coming out and welcome to That's a Word with Marcia and Gino. I'm Gino Morrow,
And I'm Marcia Williams Cromer.
and we begin each conversation with intention, one word at a time. Let's get into it. Marcia, speak your word, sister.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about my word this week. It is absolutely a word I had no idea about, but somehow came across a scroll, and I chose it because of the meaning and a way to learn it and encompass that in as part of my own vocabulary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my word is solipsistic. Solipsistic. I'll spell it. It's SOLIPSISTIC. And it describes an extreme, often narcissistic focus on one's own thoughts, desires, and existence, ignoring the outer world or other people. And I'll use it in a sentence. When her brother broke his leg, her solipsistic response was to ask if they could still go to the concert.
Damn your leg.
I know, I know. Okay, I heard that part, but are we still going to concert? Because that's what's most important to me right now. Right? Right? Woo!
Yeah.
And we all know people who approach life that way. And I
Mhm.
think, let's just be real, on some level, we all are ego driven. It's about getting what you need to move forward and take care of your own life. But by the grace of God, we're raised to understand and have empathy for other people. And,
Right.
we're living in a world where even our leaders don't share that type of insight, don't aren't driven by a need. And you're a leader, which means technically and really in reality, you're a servant,
Right.
so to be a
Absolutely.
narcissistic leader, that's like an oxymoron. Am I right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Words are always commandeered and redefined. So
Yes,
even the
yes,
term leader has been, revamped to mean something other than how can you lead if you're not paying attention to your constituents or to the
that's
people
right.
that you lead?
That's right.
Yeah,
But
so you're
but
right.
but let's think about that, because if you are a solipsistic human being in a leadership role, then did you really even go into that role from the perspective of I want to be a leader, or now I've got free reign to be whatever I want to be, blow myself up, be the biggest person in the world, whatever. And now that I have that leadership role, forget about you little minions out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not worried about you guys. I got what I want, and if you get something out of it, great. But that's not my goal.
yeah. Leadership is a means to an end for some people. Man, that can lead into a whole discussion around leadership. I mean,
Yep, yep. Let's take that word solipsistic into our everyday lives of family and friends or whatever.
yeah.
And again, I think that there are those of us who are really empathetic
Hmm.
and have compassion for other people, almost to a fault. So there's kind of
Yeah,
that pendulum that kind of swings back and forth.
yeah,
While you don't want to be solipsistic, you know, going too far to the other side means
yeah.
that perhaps you are overextending yourself in ways that aren't bearing fruit for you, or are not positive for you, and end up bringing weight to bear that you don't have the bandwidth for.
Right.
And I know, as a Black woman in America, I'm always aware that my sisters, we're pushing a lot of balls and stones, I'll say, up a
Mhm.
mountain, hoping
Yeah,
that it doesn't slip and start rolling back, because if you turn around and look back, may not be anybody standing back there to help you out.
that's a fact.
You know
That's
what I mean? And that's I'm speaking just from my own perspective as a Black woman. What say you?
I wanted to ask you to redefine the word again because I want to internalize it because I kind of got the vibe of it, but I didn't get the spirit of it and to hold on to it. So if you wouldn't mind reading the definition of solipsistic.
Solipsistic again, sure. It describes an extreme, often narcissistic focus on one's own thoughts, desires, and existence, ignoring the outer world or other people. So
Hmm.
you show up to the game already of the mindset, what's in it for me?
Yeah, it's about me.
Yeah, yeah,
Ah, yeah,
yeah,
individualism, rugged
yeah,
individualism. When you
yeah.
put
And
narcissistic into it, it really delineates for me what.
I also think that, and I know we're old enough to have been through work relationships, life relationships, whatever, and we see it every day.
Every
And
day.
there are people that have it, to different levels of degree. And like I said, I think all of us are kind of driven by the ego. And I think, as my Aunt Dolores used to say, you can't hold it against some people. They're just not processed to the level of understanding, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's not to say that they're not smart. That's not to say that these are unintelligent people. It's just life has not allowed them to put that mirror up to their face and
Right.
say, I see who I am right now, and I don't like that. That's not who I want to be. So it's not that you have to stay solipsistic if you see that's who you are, how you rolling. That is you can intentionally make the decision that that is not the person you want to be, as a person who believes in God, someone who wants to be empathetic with your neighbor. It speaks volumes if, once you recognize that you have solipsistic tendencies and you don't change, now it becomes something that is just a part of your fabric and who you are.
It makes me curious to know, and this I think would be a great conversation to have with an extended audience, or for anybody who wanted to call in or speak or come into the chat. Is it makes me curious to know, is it common for us as a species to do a lot of self-reflecting beyond personal benefit? Like, do we self-reflect to see how we have impacted others so that we can perhaps change the way we move around others?
Wow, that's good. That's good, brother Gino. That's good.
And the reason why I ask
Woo.
is because, like, I thought it was common, but it's not so common. Like when I do self-reflecting, I used to when I was younger, I still do so to some extent now, but when I was younger, I used to self-reflect and ask myself, man, when I said that, I wonder how did that make that person feel?
Right.
Or I wonder
Right.
what the impact was on that group of people. And maybe I should have chose a different word. And I would do that degree of self-reflecting.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to me when I was younger, I was more of a people pleaser. So I was always going, well, how can I have a more profound and positive impact on other people? But as the older I get, the more I'm coming to an awareness that like most people don't. That's not a path of thought for a lot of people, and I'm not holding that or judging people for that. But when we talk about ego driving how solipsistic a person may be, then how often or how common is it that people are able to break out of their ego when they do self analysis?
So I'm going to add a couple of thoughts to that. The first is you're an artist. Okay.
Yeah,
So just by definition, you tend to be a lot more emotionally inclined and caring and sensitive about, how other people navigate in your world, and that you're taking care of them, and that they're okay, and that you want to see them okay. So you've already moved away from that narcissistic stance, right?
mhm,
And I think the other is exposure, your ability to just be out in the world, meeting a variety of different people in a multitude of walks, and you start to see yourself from a different vantage point.
that's true.
And one of the things that we talk about is once you start getting out in the world, you're like, ooh, forget about the universe. You're just like a dot
A
out there.
dot, a speck of
A
dust.
dot. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to, and I'm a citizen of the world. Okay.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
know how I
yeah,
roll.
yeah.
I feel like grateful to be in the midst of all of these different types of people with different types of thoughts and things that I have to navigate abroad that would not maybe be offensive in the States. You got to start picking up on those things because you're in somebody else's country,
Right.
and I'm not going to go to somebody else's country and assume that everybody is going to navigate in the same way that I would in the States.
So that's interesting because I have observed in the recent past people who are solipsistic go to other countries and pay a price for being solipsistic. For
Yep.
example, heard of a sister going over to Dubai and getting into a verbal altercation with someone and was arrested for it because that was apparently not acceptable in Dubai.
Yep.
But when you and it's interesting because it's not like she wasn't traveled. She was in Dubai. She could afford to travel, but because sometimes when you travel more, you learn more.
Right.
And to your point, you realize how small you actually are in the context of a broader world and universe. But some of us remain so solipsistic, so in our ego
Right.
that even when we're somewhere else, we're expecting for people to behave in a manner that is consistent with where we come from. And there's a
Yeah.
price
And
to pay for solipsistism, if that's the word.
you go, Gino. I love that. And honestly, there's no reason for it because before you travel, maybe 30 years ago, but now
Uh-huh.
you can look up the country that you're traveling to. You can look up their standards, their mores, things
And
that,
laws,
they
right,
expect. There's YouTube videos like ours that you can go to and actually interact with people who are, expats and living in different places. There's
right,
really no reason not to know the decorum that is anticipated by people who are living in a certain area of the
right.
world.
That's right. In other words, the world is too evolved and there's too much technology at your fingertips for you to be ignorant and
Yeah,
self-centered.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And making the choice to care enough about how you relate to other people, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
You got, and it's okay if you find out, okay, I figured out what I said, didn't go over well, or what I did was hurtful. It's okay. You're human. What makes it not okay is when you dig in your heels and say, well, they just got to understand who I am. Okay, well, they're trying to.
Yeah.
Typically other people are actually trying to understand. But when you dig your heels in and say, I'm not willing to meet you halfway or change, I think that's where the problem happens.
Yeah, that's where a lot of problems happen. Like we want to insist on engaging with others on our own terms
Right,
and
right.
not realizing that's interesting because that reminds me of to some extent contract law, because contracts are written and verbally and physically made, and you can make a contract just by not speaking up. And
Yep,
somebody makes a
yep.
statement and demands that anybody speak out, and no one says it's just sort of like a wedding. Does anyone, two people getting married, and the minister asks, does anyone have anything to say? And if you don't say anything, the community has made a contract.
Right.
Yeah. So we have contracts that
Exactly.
exist in a number of ways. And when we don't engage with others, realizing that, or some people are wise enough to know that you can engage with others, and if they don't verbally agree, you can take advantage of them because they have non-verbally consented, So,
Exactly, exactly. But I think that, when I saw this word, it was almost like a litmus test for me. And I'm like, okay, how am I navigating and moving through life? Am I leaning more towards solipsistic, or am I an empathetic person? And I think that I tend to be more empathetic, definitely. But I know, as an ego-driven human being, there are probably times that I, hurt people, not recognizing it. But if I'm willing to do that work every day on myself and not expect other people to take on that job, it's not anybody else's job but mine, to look in the mirror and be honest and say, okay, you're bad. Okay,
mhm,
you're bad.
mhm.
You can change it. You can do the work. It's okay. Just don't let that happen again. Once you recognize it, it
Yeah.
is your responsibility to make that change. Okay. And
Possibility.
and that's my word. Solipsistic.
All right. Let's start with an S.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm going to tease and be a little bit dramatic then. So,
Okay. Well, speak your word, Gino.
all right. My word also begins with an S. So we were in the dictionary on the same end, finding similar words, and it is so funny how well our words tie together.
Okay.
yours,
Okay.
yours
Good
is
deal.
solipsistic. I'm not gonna say my word yet. Again, I'm gonna be
Okay.
dramatic. I'm a tease a little bit. So I'm gonna give a few synonyms first. First of all, my word is a noun, so it could be a person, place, or thing. Uh, the some synonyms for my word: brown noser, yes man, toady, bootlicker, flatterer, a lackey, and it also begins with an S. Now, before I give the word, I'm going to go into some of the key characteristics. Insincere praise, self-serving motives, lack of integrity, servile behavior. And now I'm going to give the definition, and then I'm going to share the word.
Okay.
All right. The definition is a person who acts. I'll get this word mixed. The pronunciation of this word, I think, is obsequiously.
Obsequious. Okay.
Yeah. A person who acts obsequiously towards someone important in order to gain advantage. Essentially, a flatterer who praises and agrees with powerful people insincerely to win their favor or benefits. Now, to me, it's absolutely amazing that you have what was your word? Oh my goodness. What was your word again?
So, Solipsistic. Solipsistic.
Solipsistic. So the narcissistic characteristic of someone who is solipsistic might be surrounded by these type of people. And we're
Okay.
watching a lot of this take place.
And I know it's just me and you, but I know I actually remember we talked about some words out there and I forgot your word until you actually gave me that definition.
Yeah.
So it's sycophant.
It's sycophant. Woo, woo.
I won, yay.
You won.
Oh, I love it.
A bottle of water.
Okay. Well, and I appreciate it. I'll get it next time I come by.
Sycophant. So our two words are because the sycophant is actually the person. It's almost like a person who is, oh my God, say your word again.
Solipsistic.
Solipsistic. It's like in a power dynamic, two solipsistic people, but one has to be the more powerful or dominant one, and one has to be the submissive one. Well, a sycophant is the submissive one.
Right, exactly.
A sycophant is gonna feed the ego of the solipsistic individual by telling them how great they are, how powerful they are, and everything that they say is right, and everything that they're doing is correct. And we're watching a whole lot of that in the White House.
I know. It's so true. Yeah, it's ugly to watch, man.
Yes, indeed.
And you know, these are grown people who actually used to have lives and some self-respect, and they absolutely trade all of their own self-respect and honor in order to feel closer to power. That's all it's about. You know, if they've got their hands closer to the pulse, then they behave as required to stay there.
Yes. And it reminds me of, there are a lot of movies that it reminds me of, but remember that movie, I think it was Ford. I can't remember the guy's name, but he offered a woman $10 million, I think, and a husband. It was a couple, and he offered.
Yeah, it was Demi Moore and somebody else. I have to look it up.
What is your
it was and Robert Redford. Robert
Redford. Ford. I was like Ford. It was Ford in there somewhere.
No, it was Robert Redford. I can't. And basically, he was offering money almost to see if she would, cheat on her husband.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason why that movie came to mind is because, the premise of that movie is, what's your price?
Right. Exactly.
Lay down the idea of everybody has a price. What's your price? And when we look at today's, everything that's going on today, politically, historically, I mean, you name it, every Lee. It appears as if people are telling you what their price is, because very few people are standing on principles and morals that are eternal, like scripture, like even any wisdom from the past is seeming to be null and void in this era.
Yeah. And the movie is Indecent Proposal.
Indecent Proposal. That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I kind of went through something similar to that one time, where I'm dating someone and I'm already writing the books, and my goal, as you know, is to turn the books into a movie.
Right.
And the Rancho and Stilettos movie.
That's right.
So we're still working on it. Hey, all dreams are on the table, right?
That's right.
And so a guy I'm dating offered seed money. And literally, I was just like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!
Come with a price.
Oh my God, this is amazing!" And I will tell you one thing, though, brother. It was not $10 million or $20 million. Okay. So clearly, I had not gotten to my price, but it was an opportunity for me to just again look inwardly and see, what does that mean? What does it mean? Because I grew up in that world. Ain't nothing free. Okay, ain't
That's
nothing
right.
free. It's gonna cost you something. It might be a little, it might be a lot, but it's gonna cost you, right? And literally, as soon as I acknowledged my enthusiasm about this deal, the attitude became, okay, so when are you coming? When will I see you next? And when are you flying out, kind of thing. And I'm like, well, we really hadn't talked about that. So, I'm with my schedule, I still don't know when that would be. And basically, I felt that I was being put in a position to say, well, I've done something for you, so there's this quid pro quo. And my understanding is that we're going to sign contracts. This is just basically a
Right.
business deal, an
This is
investment.
business. Uh-huh.
And but it went just wrong for me. I just did not feel that. And maybe it was even the timing.
Yeah.
As soon as I say thumbs up, I noticed that your attitude toward it was like a power
Oh, yeah, it
thing.
was a power dynamic.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was a power thing
I'm
that
in a
really
position of
effed with
authority.
me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'll go with that
But if you
first.
would,
I just I cannot. Nobody gets to control Marcia.
but if you would
Sorry.
have consented contractually, whether it was written or unwritten, and he would have been in a position of, he would have been what was that? What's your word?
Solipsistic.
He would have been solipsistic. He was moving in a very solipsistic direction. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love how you flip that. That's good, Gino. That's
Yeah, well,
good.
I'm trying to internalize it. I still can't get the pronunciation down, but I'm going to get it at some point.
Exactly.
So what's also interesting about that is that when you choose to go down this path, if you choose not to do the work, if you choose to be solipsistic or a sycophant, depending on which end of the spectrum you lie on within that power dynamic, there are outcomes that are undeniable and you can't run away from. There are
Right.
consequences to those choices. That's why you always have to do the work. That's why your self-analysis have to be beyond how it benefits you, but
Yeah.
how it benefits the community at large, in addition to yourself. You're a
Yeah.
part.
And gratefully, God gives you discernment,
That's right.
and like I said, nothing is free. And at the point that I started to feel that I was really being manipulated,
Yeah.
I was like, how about let's do $0?
How about
Okay.
that? How
Yeah,
about that?
let's go that route.
Then I can walk away with my integrity. So
Yeah, exactly. Which, in this world that we live in, to be able to be that person that does what you say you're going to do, show up when you say you're going to show up, recognize what's important to your family, to people that are in your life, and be that person that stands on business. That's who I try to be. And
yeah.
I'm not gonna, no amount of money is gonna turn me into a person that I can't recognize.
Marcia, I thought I would try something slightly different than our previous episodes. And I'm gonna elaborate on what are the outcomes for a sycophant.
Okay.
So this is what I dug up. The outcomes for the sycophant: loss of personal integrity. They gradually erode their own moral compass and sense of self, constantly suppressing honest opinions and
Yep.
values to please others. It creates internal conflict and self-betrayal. Self-betrayal. Next one, unstable position. Their favor is entirely dependent on remaining youthful and agreeable. The
All
moment they displease
right.
a powerful person or someone more flattering comes along, they're disposable.
Oh God.
Damaged
Yeah. That's
reputation.
it.
And I'll pause. If you
Yep.
want to add anything, just feel free to.
No. I'm loving it. Keep going.
Damaged reputation. Others see through the manipulation. Colleagues, peers, and observers lose respect for them, viewing them as untrustworthy, spineless, and opportunistic. Stunted growth. By never speaking truth or challenging ideas, they fail to develop genuine leadership skills, critical thinking, and authentic relationships. Their career becomes a house built on sand. And
That's it.
lastly, moral compromise. Sycophants often find themselves defending or participating in unethical behavior because they've tied their fortunes to someone else's agenda rather than their own principles.
That's right. That's right. I love that. I
That's
love that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. So let's not be sycophants, and let's not be
Solipsistic. I got that word down.
Yeah, well, that was
Hey,
yeah.
hey, Gino, and I'm looking at the time, and I'm gonna just go ahead and wrap this one up.
All right.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We're so excited that you're here. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on the channel so that we can continue to grow and bring you content that you come to our show. That's the word, to learn.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Marcia, and thank you, audience, for joining us. Take care.